or and we've had the uh, well, they verbally told me it was like I say, hey man, if one of my sales guys or project managers were there and he was verbally telling you something, I'm sorry, I apologize, but that is not written in the contract. This is what we stated to. This is what we said we were going to do. This is the work we were going to perform. This is the work you were going to pay for. Any of that other stuff you're talking about right now, I don't have a clue about. All we can go
Yeah.
by is what was written down. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And
We're
then,
live.
yeah, we already talked about that, holding people accountable, and they don't like it. And then when you do
No,
it, they start
no.
throwing temper tantrums. And
Let me write that down too. We should bring that up, accountability, because I mean, the whole world is unaccountable right now. Hello, guys. We are back, man. Big Anthony, Sunshine Design, the big build.
what's up, man?
Brian Adams, dominate your life and business. Whew, man, these weeks just fly by. You staying busy, bro?
Yeah.
Enjoying that new truck?
Yeah.
Hey, man, we got what's that?
It's getting maintained today to keep up the warranty, so I don't have it, but yeah, I'm enjoying it.
I'm gonna throw a whole bunch of stuff at you, man. We're gonna be talking about Elon and Twitter, what I think it's gonna do with Bitcoin. Jason Aldean and everybody getting crazy over his song that I don't even think the song's that damn good. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about something, and I had in my notes I wanted to talk about Napoleon Hill and the Rocky story, and for whatever reason we just didn't get to it.
The Rocky story.
Yeah. And Sinead O'Connor just passed away. Housing market, is it going to crash? Are contractors about to start going belly up, bankrupt? Judge Noriega rejects Hunter Biden's. Oh my God, man. With Mitch McConnell just had a fucking stroke on national television during a press conference. It's fucking crazy.
Was that today?
Yes. Like I keep watching it going nuts, man, nuts. The last thing I kind of want to talk about, which is dominate your life, but it's if you invest in shit and don't do your research, you deserve to get taken advantage of. And I'm gonna go in a bunch of different directions with that. But I do. Since you just said that beautiful truck of yours is getting service today, I'm gonna start off with this, and it's over 4,000 freaking German cars, Volkswagens. The freaking Porsches, Lamborghinis, just all went up in flames and sunk off of the beach of Portugal, out past Portugal's, wherever they stopped, doing it. It's like off of Portugal, and they're saying, and they're saying it was because a couple of the cars were electric cars and the batteries caught fire, burnt everything up, dropped. And I love Elon. Nobody likes Elon more than I do. But this whole electric car thing is I mean, it's still being figured out. I mean, I'm sure Henry Ford, doing the Model T and stuff. I'm sure a couple of those cars remember the Pinto, the Ford Pinto. Yeah. Shit, most of these guys ain't old enough to remember the Pinto, but it was like a bomb waiting to explode. The gas tank was in the back, so if you got rear-ended, they would almost explode and catch fire.
Well, it was actually Mercedes. It was the guy who invented Mercedes that actually invented the automobile, and it was Ford. It was Ford who basically took it to the next level with the assembly line, right?
Yes,
and he was the first person to mass produce a vehicle.
Exactly.
But I don't believe that Mercedes actually designed his vehicles to run on gasoline. I believe it was alcohol.
It was Henry Ford's designed his to run on alcohol made from just moonshine liquor in the backyard, like my dad used to run. The whole I'm from North Carolina, NASCAR, all that shit. My dad was one of those guys. My uncles, they all ran moonshine. And Henry Ford, it was designed to run off of that and gasoline, because gasoline, I didn't even know, but gasoline is a byproduct of when they used to make kerosene and lantern fuels, from like, you see these streets were all lit up by the kerosene and stuff. Gasoline was a byproduct of that crap. And then they're sitting around going, what can we do with it? And someone said, oh, it burns. We can put it in the engines and upstarted it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just kind of a weird, funny story, but damn, man, electric battery thing strikes again.
Well, I just don't understand how people can just turn a blind eye to the fact that, what those batteries are made of, where that comes from, what it does to the earth. I mean, It's like, you look at those lithium mines, you look at the people working in them, they're working under horrendous conditions. They're destroying the landscape. And I mean, it's the same thing. You're talking about what it could do to Bitcoin. And it's like, everyone's like, well, Bitcoin is evil because it takes electricity to mine it. Well, have you ever seen what a gold mine does to the earth?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a double standard. I don't really understand the logic behind it. I mean, they're all acting like it's like this savior of humanity because we're using batteries instead of gasoline. And it's like, I mean, I get it. It's, you're evil. You're a planet murderer, Brian. Use our batteries.
Well, the like those battery, what is it? Cobalt, whatever they're mining for. We don't
cobalt, lithium
and stuff, but they're mining for it in like, third world countries. So big bad Americans don't see it. So we don't bring, it's like out of sight, out of mind. It kind of crazy. But touching on, like you just mentioned, was Henry Ford, developed that assembly line. And, reading his biography was every year he was trying to, his goals were to produce the cars, cheaper so he could charge less to the consumer. But he also wanted to pay his employees more, yet have the company make a bigger profit. So when you try to add those three things up, you're like, no, that's impossible. It's never going to happen. It's impossible. You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't have all three of those things. Just like we talk about in construction, you have the triangle. It's like time, quality, and what you pay for. You can pick two of the three, but you can't have all three. And he was shooting for all three, but it was becoming more and more efficient. When I'm working with contractors, kind of coaching them, walking them through shit, I'm like, dude, stop trying to be the jack of all trades. Focus on one or two things and get your system down. Get it down so freaking tight that you could do it 20, 30% cheaper than your competition, but you're doing it so freaking good. You can charge 20 to 30% more than your competition, and just over and over again. And there's a lot that goes into it. The marketing, buying in bulk, you're getting better prices. You're doing it over and over again. You have less freaking problems because you see what's happening all the time. It's easier to train guys, employees, because they're doing the same thing kind of over and over again. Is it boring? Yeah, man. Look, I ain't in this to be excited. I'm in it for the money. Did you get into contracting to be excited or for the money, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get into contracting because I wake up in the morning going, woohoo, I love what I do. Yeah.
I love.
I mean, it's like the guy who does, who owns a concrete plant. Andrew Tate talks about that in some of his videos. Like, there's a guy in China who owns a concrete plant. He's a deca-billionaire or whatever. He's like, you think he gets up in the morning and gets a hard on for concrete? No, he makes money.
It is, man. And I've hardwood flooring for over 40 years. And man, you can ask my wife or anyone who's personally kind of grown up with me. I like the end result, but I've never liked it. I got into it because it was all I knew how to do. I didn't have a high, nothing, no kind of education or nothing, but I could work with my hands. I could do this. And I was very good at it. But it was a means to an end. It brought in a lot of freaking profit. And the better you got at it, the more profit it brought in. So it is. Sinead O'Connor passed away today. Remember her?
Yeah. I've been seeing her face all over the interwebs all day today, but I didn't realize that was why. That's crazy. Yeah, a lot happened today.
Yeah, man. And like 56, but she was always, I ain't gonna say strange.
What'd she die of?
I don't know. I mean, she wasn't the healthy. I mean, if you see the pictures of her, she ain't the healthiest. So, healthiest looking. So it could have been, a bunch of different things. She smoked and some other stuff, her weight. But man, she just like mentally, she could just never get it. And you'd think that she had to have money. I mean, she made some songs and albums and tours and stuff. So it was never the money. I don't think she could just wrap her head around. I don't know. Like, she had a son that passed away. Maybe she was abused as a kid. I don't know. But at one time, it's like you just said, accountability. And people want to throw labels at shit. Oh, I'm bipolar. I'm this. I'm that. I'm ADD. I'm like, dude, fuck it. I'm all
stricken by the gods.
Yes, we all. Look, man, we all are. We all are. Every one of us has a story. You're telling yourself that story. You want to have excuses for why. Like my brother right now, like this girl just texted me, man, freaking 15 minutes before we went on the air. God, I think I seen her 20 years ago, but my brother used to live with her, and she hit me up going, "Hey, have you talked to your brother?" And blah 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 blah. And I'm like, "Yeah, man, he's still living in the homeless shelter somewhere in Salt Lake City." I mean, and he's got all the excuses of why he can't do anything. Like we had a rough childhood, my mom and this, and my dad wasn't around, and they're not lies. But at one time or another, he's like, "Look, man, that happened. It made me a better person. I learned. I now know what not to do." I'm going to use all of that baggage, all that bullshit as fucking rocket fuel to propel me to where I want to be. Or, like you said, no one takes accountability for anything, and they love that freaking having that story. This happened, that happened. Man, it's that we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. It's that whole give them a trophy mentality. You cannot give away self-esteem. You just can't give self-esteem to someone. You have to go through this shit, man. You have to get punched in the face. You have to get kicked in the nuts.
You have to go through difficult times. I mean, that's what that's for.
Yeah. And to try to keep someone from that is you're not doing any benefits. You're not doing any fucking benefits. It sucks, but hey, when you create your own planet, you get to set your own rules. But until then, we're stuck with these.
Man, I can't find anything on what she died of.
No, I looked and it couldn't. I don't know what it is. So,
there are lots of mentions of mental health. Maybe she died of depression because you know how horrible
over again. Yeah, that was her whole thing, man. That was her whole and unfortunately,
probably gave herself cancer or something.
And I don't even know how I should know how old you are, but I'm telling you, man, if you're 45 or younger, people will get mad. Damn you, Brian! But it's the society today, I mean, and it doesn't be 45 and under, but it's just society today is you get so much positive feedback from having drama in your life. It's a reward. Oh, I was molested. Oh, I was this. Oh, my mom was an alcoholic. Oh, my dad was never around. I was on welfare my whole life. I had to eat green government cheese. The macaroni never came out right. It was hard. It was like, oh man, the worse your story, the more fucking like you get this attention, and so people come up with shit to get the attention.
It's like this game of my life sucks more than yours. The oppression Olympics, like,
yeah,
dude, my life totally sucks more. Dude, my life is way worse than yours, Brian. You're like, oh, okay, good for you. You win.
Yeah,
you win.
Yeah, it's like when I was Jesse Slapjack, what's up, brother? When I was training speakers for Les Brown, and we'd sit around, and the whole thing is like telling stories and building that relationship, from the stage. You can't hear every one of them, but when you share your stories with them, everybody has something in common with your story. So you make that connection. And so I'm sitting there telling them, all my shit, brother, my favorite brother got knocked in the head at 22, thrown in the river, drug out 10 days later, buried as a John Doe somewhere in Texas. My oldest brother is still homeless, always been homeless. Mom, abusive alcohol. You go through all this shit, man, and those guys are like envious. They're like, oh my God, you got the best stories. And I'm like, the fuck? Yeah. It's like, I wish my life was as fucked up as yours.
Well, get out and do something then, man.
Yeah. Hey, I don't want to skip over it again because I told a couple of guys 2 weeks ago that I was going to bring it up. And what did he post? He had posted something. I think he posted something about Napoleon Hill, and oh yeah, what the mind can believe and it can achieve. Yeah, and conceive, and yeah, if you can conceive it, believe it, you can achieve it, and all that shit. And I'm like, yeah, keep believing that. Yeah. I can conceive a whole bunch of shit that ain't gonna happen in my life. I ain't playing professional golf. Anthony knows. We played a couple of weeks ago. I ain't making it on the tour. I don't care how much I fucking believe it. I ain't making it on the tour. Right. And all of that. And then I started telling him the story, and you know the story. Tell him Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill's from North Carolina. I'm from North Carolina.
Are you talking about the lumber mill story?
Yeah, all of it. That's how I think his whole life was that. But tell him
there's story. there's no real evidence to the fact of, or in fact, there's actually a lot of speculation that, because you know how Napoleon Hill, like his big call to fame was he got to go to Andrew Carnegie's house and sat down, and Andrew Carnegie gave him access to all these rich people so that he could write a compendium on what success is, right? Well, first of all, I mean, if you're spending the night with some old dude in his mansion, you probably aren't talking a lot about money. It's a little weird, but supposedly, you know, it's possible that never happened. And then also there is, you know, there's a lot of evidence that points to the fact that he started lumber mills or lumber companies, ripped a lot of people off, and just kept on moving from town to town like a vagabond, you know, talking about, you know, writing a book and just, you know, basically conning people.
Yeah, because he was like those lumber mills that you're talking about. He'd go into a town, you know, they're trying to sell lumber, you know, whatever, a truck full of lumber for $100. And he's like, yeah. I'll buy that all day long. You know, give me a truckload and I'll bring you that $100 next week. They trusted him. He sells the truck of lumber for $80 and splits town, never pays anybody. And I'm just making those numbers up. But that's what he was doing. He was getting a shitload of lumber on credit, selling it, undercutting the lumber mill, selling it to their competition. And then take it and going to the next town, doing it again. And he's like what they call a grifter type of deal. Always going in, always had a little plan, always making some money, and came up with that whole story of Andrew Carnegie and the life successes and principles. And like he made them up. It's like he was just very well read. I mean, if you read books from way back when, they all say the same thing of, you know, like the whole, you know, the mind is more powerful, and you got to
all the cliches,
actions. Yeah, and like he just put it
success into leaves clues.
Yeah, exactly. He just put it into a good story format, and made it. You know, I interviewed all these people and this and that and blah. It was like, and I don't want to knock any of it, because if you read the book and it helps you succeed, God bless you. I don't care whatever it is that takes you. Whatever you have to believe in to get you off of drugs, keep believing in it. I'm not knocking any of that stuff, because the belief part, and that is what the secret from that book is, the belief. Because until you truly believe it, you're not really going to take action on it the way you should take action on it. And that whole mind and body is one of my favorite videos, and I've seen it over 100 times. I used to, in my program, Mental Martial Art, when I used to do 2-day seminars, homework before they even showed up was they had to watch a video called the belief. What is it? The belief of this at the cellular level, and Bruce Lipton. And it talks about how at a cellular level, we're always regenerating cells and this and that, and what you believe, and how and it's just, and it doesn't have to be real. You just mentally see it, and you're telling the body that this is what it is. And the body's, just overcompensating and doing stuff. And when you stress, what stress does to the body and the cortisone, it's crazy. But so the whole belief part, and Jesus, that's why, way back when, talking about the belief. And then he just put it into a good format and sold it, and God bless him. Good for him.
Well, I mean, it's common in the self-help industry, man. I mean, there's a lot of people out there, and it's not even just the self-help industry. It's just people in general.
I'm in the industry. I'm in that industry. Be cool.
Well, it's just people in general, Yeah. So there is truth. Like, I don't want to knock Napoleon Hill or the self-help industry. I mean, obviously it's there for a reason, but the thing about it is people in general. So, like, think about it like this. There's the more deceptive a lie, the more truth it must contain. Otherwise, it's not a very good lie at all. I mean, you'd have to be an idiot to believe it if it didn't, But I mean, the thing about it is it's like, regardless of whether it's, seminars, self-help books, people get a dopamine hit when they read a self-help book, and they feel like they've accomplished something, but really they haven't done anything. Right.
No.
But I mean, the thing about it is, it's people in general in any industry. We always want something. We always want to achieve. We always see ourselves a certain way. We want to be this person. We have these interests and these desires to become certain things that we're interested in. But the minute you're faced with the adversity and the friction of actually taking the action to do that, that's when the rubber meets the road, and most people don't know how to drive.
Yeah. I love that. Most people don't know how to drive. And it goes back. I mean, that should be the theme for today is it goes back to personal accountability. When you're taking accountability for your actions and something doesn't work, and so you learn from it and then you do it again. And it's like tenacity and all that shit. I'm coaching 5 guys right now. We're doing like I believe in the seasons, so you're doing these seasons, 4 seasons in a year, but in network marketing, we call it a 90-day run, man, for like, for 3 months, for 90 days, you just put your head down, you got tunnel vision and you just go for the goal. You go for it. And it's really huge. And weight loss and just physical fitness. It's like, man, just if you do a 90-day run trying to get your body and make a change in your body, it's like you just focus on nothing but working out and weights and just whatever it is, Stairmasters, running, whatever it is. But your eating habits, you're saying no. Just give yourself 90 days, man. 90 days. Say no to the donuts. Say no to so at the end, I guarantee everybody. I don't care. It's like there's no way you don't do it. At the end of the 90 days, when you're that strict. You stand in front of the mirror, you put the tape measure around you, you stand on the weight scale, you see 100% results every freaking time. So we're doing like this. I'm doing this master your business thing with these 5 guys, and that's what it is. I'm like, man, give me these 90 days. You got to get you tunnel vision. It's like turn the television off. Go over these freaking these videos. Go write it all down. Come up with everything that you've done. So I've been using you as a lot of an example. I say, hey man, like. Everybody wants to have what Anthony's got right now as in a business, it's like they think they do anyway, but they don't want to go through the bullshit of everything that you've done and all the shit that didn't work out. And then like you feel like you're
blood, sweat, and tears.
Doing this. But it's what you go through. It's again, you can't fake fucking self-esteem. It can't be given to you. You have to go through that. And that's I don't know. It ain't what makes you. It's not that it makes you hard. It just makes you tough. It just makes you like, man. All right, I went through that. I'm still here. All right, let's keep doing. What am I gonna do? What are you gonna do? Go get a job with someone? People watching these. Most of the people watching our podcast or entrepreneurs, whatever the hell that means to someone. But we're unemployable. It's like most of us ain't working for somebody. We're like, we know we think that we're better than the guy that we're working for. We need our own gig. But if you're not willing to do what it takes to make it work, man, stop lying to yourself. Go get a job. Life will be a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's truly the epitome of work on yourself more than you do your job. Strong body is a strong mind. And most people hear that shit, that platitude, that cliche, and they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then they go to work and then they basically put on the tool belt and they don't answer the phone. They don't run the jobs. They're scared to death of hiring somebody because if you want it done, you got to do it yourself. And, it's just like, man, it's not, I mean, you're going to, it's like a game you want to play. No shame in it, but still,
I'm going to make Bucky's give me a promoting contract.
What is Bucky's? Is that
oh man, it's like the world's largest gas station or something. Like they're in Texas, Louisiana, Tennessee. Where else? If you're watching this, where else do you see Bucky's? It's one of my favorite stores. It's crazy, but yeah. I was talking to a contractor. It's probably about a month ago, but it was before I came out to Idaho. And out of the blue, and we were talking about other stuff and this and how you present yourself and stuff. And he's like, yeah, man, you ever seen that dude, Anthony? He's got videos and stuff. He's a contractor. And I'm like, what the fuck's he talking? Is he talking about my Anthony? He goes, man, that dude's always dressed up and he's a contractor, but he shows up to the job site and he looks like he's a professional. He ain't showing up with ripped up jeans and shirt.
Right.
and I was laughing going, yeah, I've seen him once or twice, but
who was this that said that?
I can't even remember. It's like I talked to so many of these contractors because I do a lot of interviewing. I got a lot of contractors that'll reach out to me and say that they won't help. And years ago, I would almost talk to everybody, but now I kind of try to weed through them like I weed through homeowners. I'm like, no, you're serious, you're not. You're serious, you're not. But they had brought that up, and I find it funny. But it is though, man. You show up with that good look. Now you used to show up with a Lexus, but now you show up with that nice diesel truck, and you show up dressed. I tell guys that, man. I'm like, dude. And that's going to be part of this 90-day run. And we've only had the one meeting. There's a lot of homework and shit. But it's like, how are you starting your morning routine off? What are you doing? Are you hitting the snooze button 3 times, rolling out of bed just fast enough to throw a brush across your teeth for a half a minute, got the coffee, run out of the house, show up at the job site just in time. I'm not late. I got there, or to the office. Or
on time is late.
And man,
on time is late.
Yeah, and it's like, and I ain't saying they got to get up and go to the and hit the gym like you're hitting it every morning, but man, you got to get up and give yourself at least minimum 15 minutes of go outside, walk around, walk fast, do something. I do like an hour or more if you can, but most people are like, oh my God, an hour? What are you kidding me? I'm like, dude, man, you're gonna get all the sleep you need when you're dead. I'm telling you, man, get up. You do the workout. You're doing this. You're running. You're on the treadmill. You're something. Your head is. You're thinking about what you got to do. What went on yesterday. You're thinking about what you're going to do today. Who are you going to tell Jim? What do you got? This project manager over here. You got to talk to this homeowner. All that shit is there. It's and you're. I'm telling you, if you're on a treadmill for 20, 30, 40 minutes, whatever, or running or whatever, even lifting the weights and stuff, you're constantly thinking about your day. And I have went through my entire day before I even finished my hour-and-a-half workout in the morning. Mentally, I've already went through my entire day, played out all kind of different scenarios. What happens this? What am I going to say this? I got to call to this guy. And even my daughter, my wife was like, because I got everything in the systems because I don't want people trying to do like I do. Because I've always remembered it. I can kind of just remember everybody I got to call, products I got to pick up, everything. And but I don't want that. I don't want people relying on their memory. I want it written down, and you're going through your checklist. And did you get this done? Go back through this. Look at that. Check it off. Transfer it to the next day. All of that stuff. But I'm telling you, within that first hour and a half of me getting up, I've already went through my entire day of who I'm talking to, what I'm doing, what's going on, and and shit I'm working on tomorrow.
Well, I don't know about you, man, but I would imagine there's quite a few people who are in the same boat as I am. Like when I wake up in the morning, man, I wake up every day like just in a negative mindset, and I have to get up and I have to do something that I don't want to do. And like I tell you what, dude, if you go, like I wake up depressed, I wake up like pissed off, and this shit's going on in my life. That person's an idiot. I don't want to do this shit today. I wake up negative every day. Like I wake up an asshole. Every day. And I have to go. Like if I don't go to the gym, that affects the rest of my day. And I mean, I'm here to tell you, if you go spend an hour in the gym, try spending an hour in the gym and being a depressed asshole, right?
Yeah.
You're going to come out of there. You're going to be sweating. You're going to feel good. You're like, yeah, let's take on the day, right?
Yeah.
You got your shit put together. And
100%.
The way you do one thing, is the way you do everything. If you do everything like you do that the first thing in the morning, that's, I mean, you got to set your own expectation for your life. Otherwise, somebody else is going to set it for you.
No, because I say it all the time is everything is connected to everything. And like these contractors I'm working with right now, and because I do these maybe a couple of times a year, but it's like they have to write down these fucking numbers. They have to write down these numbers, and no one wants to fess up to the numbers. I'm like, dude, man, it's like nobody's going to know outside of this little circle. We're just talking shit to each other. We're pumping each other up, and and nobody gets to. Because I do another group once a year where we meet with some contractors who are higher level, more like yourself. Mm-hmm. And they have to show up with their bank accounts. They have to show up with their statements. They have to show up with their taxes. And and we look at everything. I'll say, here's all the money coming in. Here's all the money going out. Here's what you're claiming on taxes. Then we hit a little shot of Jack Daniels. And then we say, all right, what did you barter with? How much cash did you hide? And nothing's recorded. This is just all real fucking talk. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is profit and how much are we keeping and how much can we hide and how much can we not really IRS, but but you don't get, because I mean, when you're on the face, and this is right now, this is like YouTube, it's on Twitter, it's Facebook. But when you're on the social media, when you're on the internet and guys are trying to get advice from other contractors in these groups, I fucking cringe. I'm like, God damn, man, the worst place to go for advice is these fucking Facebook groups, other contractors. I'm like, oh my God, it kills me. Yeah. But I mean, we met in a group.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, and I know you, it's like how much you charging? How much y'all charging? Right? I can't stand that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? You have to know your numbers, because what if you're out there, comparing yourself to what some other guys charging? How do you know he's not already bankrupt? Because here's the deal: most of these guys are already bankrupt. They just don't know it yet. Yeah, and you got all these idiots out here trying to compete with them.
100% already bankrupt, and they don't know it. and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
So so let's hit it up with the housing market. Is it going to crash? And this time it's different. And I always say that 2008 and before that, you had the line. This one is different only because, fake ass COVID and handing out money and telling people to stay home and pumping money into the economy. It's like, so I really don't know what's going to happen, but I'm talking to an agent up in the Big Bear area where we have a resort cabin, and I got a couple of rentals in South Carolina. So they're both different. But she's telling me, she's like, man, I think a lot of these cabins are going to be going for sale or maybe even foreclosed on, because a lot of people bought cabins at the beginning of COVID because everybody was locked down, and they were able to rent them out as these short-term rentals and Airbnbs. And now that things have opened up, they're not running to this local mountain. They're going back to Hawaii and Europe and all these other, the cruise ships and everything else. So now these people can't even make their freaking mortgage payment. That's just that one little area. There's some places like, people talk shit about California all the time. Everybody's leaving California. Everybody's leaving California. I wish everybody was leaving California. There's no emptiness. There is no emptiness. But they are. I mean, there's a lot of people, taking California money, moving to Idaho, moving to Texas, moving to Florida. So there's certain areas that even with the high interest rate, and look, man, trust me, 7% is not a high interest rate for a mortgage. It should have never really been lower than 6%, ever. Yeah. Because when you invest in something and you're talking about your 401k and all the other shit, your retirement plan, you want more than 7% return on your investment. Every one of you want 12, 14, 22%. How the hell are you going to give someone a loan for 1% or 2% on a 30-year fixed mortgage, and then you think your investments are going to do good? So it should have never. I mean, that was all fake. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, but right now there's just the supply and demand is really what drives stuff, and there's not enough houses for sale.
That's an interesting back and forth. That's an interesting fact that you just brought up right there, the supply and demand, because right now, I mean, we have this demand in the entire country that is just insane. And then today, the Fed just raised the interest rates another 25 basis points to 5.5%, which means that it's discouraging. It's raising the interest rate of the average person borrowing, and people aren't wanting to borrow. And when people aren't wanting to borrow, it's going to affect the housing market. But yet, what it's doing is it's pushing everything back into these people who are cash rich, who are paying for cash. Like, I have more people now, like lately, asking me, well, is there a discount if I pay for it in cash? I'm like, no, because then I got to pay somebody in security to carry around the duffel bag you're bringing in my office, right? Like, I don't want to handle all that money.
Yeah.
But I mean, ultimately it is strange because it is different, but at the same time, it's, it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand the logic behind raising the rates to what they are, because, the last time they raised rates, you started seeing a lot of banks collapse, right? And everyone's freaking out about that because people aren't borrowing money, which puts them behind on their ledgers. Because when you put $1 into the bank turns around and creates zeros on a computer and lends out 90 cents of it.
Yeah.
And when people aren't lending and borrowing, and they restrict that puts banks in jeopardy, banks that are behind on their balances. Is the housing market crash? I don't know, man. I think that ultimately, we got bigger problems in the housing market crashing, right? I think right now we have to really kind of assess what is the shelf life? How long is the dollar even going to be a viable solution for trade? I think that's where it's leading to, more than just the housing market.
And I mean, I have a little bit better view of it only because I help. I run the marketing for a lot of different contractors, and I work and get phone calls from these guys all the time. And I record all the phone calls, the transcripts when listening to these guys and stuff. And I get the emails across their website. But recently, when I say recently, I'm saying the last 6 months, I've seen way more people reaching out to me and other contractors who have a good 10 to 15 years experience looking for work. And this time last year, you would have never seen that. So that kind of, I kind of go, what's going on? And then I think back to like 2008, because of the internet, I didn't suffer at all. We stayed busy. It was like COVID for us. But I know a lot of contractors who went, bankrupt. But in all honesty, the majority of them that went bankrupt should have never been contractors. It was just so much extra work. They were able to make it. It's just when it got down to like what it should have been average or a little bit less, people start picking and choosing who they're hiring. And I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The homeowner got picky about who they were hiring versus they needed someone to get it done. And it's like, if you're available, come on over.
They didn't stop spending money. They just got choosier about who they spent it with.
Yeah. And so I think we're going to see some of that. And I think that's always a good thing.
Well, Stephen makes a good point here too, and that really kind of goes, to what I was saying is like the housing shortage, the demand on the market is propping things up, and the only thing I could think, is their logic behind, raising the rates, to what they are. We're at a 22-year high, is that ultimately it's giving them an excuse to turn on the money printers again. And it's counterintuitive because the markets tend to thrive when the money printers are turned on full blast.
Yeah,
everyone hates it, but it's like when the money printer's on, money is abundant, and the economy thrives, and ultimately it's all propped up. But
did you see
it's propped up on that belief.
A couple of years ago, I don't know what season it was, but that TV show Walking Dead. So whether you watched it or not, I don't know, but I know you've heard of it. But then the dude with the baseball bat with the barbed wire, wrapped around it. Negan. I think his name Negan. But he's walking around, carrying the baseball bat, and he's like, "I will shut this shit down." And I will shut this shit down. And that's what Vivek sounds like to me, running for president. And he's talking about, "I will shut." I wish he'd come out with a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire, because he's yelling, "I will shut this shit down." He's talking about the Fed, he wants to get rid of them almost completely. CIA gone, FBI gone, Food and Drug Administration gone, tobacco and firearms gone, all of it gone. He was just like, and he's got a plan for it.
I think he's suffering from mental illness, and he wants suicide by alphabet agency or something. Man.
It's like the one guy that was.
They're going to off him if he keeps up with that.
Yeah. If he gets, the closer he gets, I think one of Hillary Clinton's and Bill Clinton's chefs was found drowned up in the mountains.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Up in the mountains of Taos, New Mexico. And I've been to Taos, New Mexico because of Charlie, who was on the show last week. But it's so they'll find him somewhere dead or missing. Crazy. So the whole contractor thing going belly up. It's the contractor, right? We talked about it last year. We probably mentioned it every week. It's personal responsibility. It's taking accountability for yourself. But it's so many contractors think because they don't get a paycheck from another person that they're in business. And I keep telling them, like, dude, if you have to be there, it's not a job. If you have to be there, it's not a business, it's a job. You're working for yourself, and working for you sucks. You don't have a business.
Working for you sucks.
You're one homeowner away from being sued and bellied up and gone. It's like, I don't know. It's frustrating as hell, because I lived that life, and it's not fun, man. You got the really high highs because you got a couple of jobs, you feel like you got some money, and then the phone doesn't ring because all my work is from referrals, and then you don't work for a couple of weeks, a month, and the guys who did work for you, they're off working for your competition, and now the wife is arguing that it sucks, and and these guys keep kidding themselves. You broke out.
Yeah, it's like, what little they do is, they're planting that seed out in the field, and then they're running back every day digging it up to see if it's growing. And that's what word of mouth is, in my opinion. It's like,
how did you break out of it?
Ultimately, I just started paying attention to people like you and what you were talking about. And I just was like, it just made sense to me. And I started implementing a lot of it. I just realized that, I started looking at different companies we're doing, like Coca-Cola. They don't, when you go into a restaurant, 9 out of 10 people are going to ask for a Coke, whether they serve Pepsi or not. Yeah. Why is that? Well, it's because Coke spends the most money on advertising, and whoever spends the most money on advertising wins.
100%.
Yeah.
Dan Kennedy, look him up. But
yeah. And I mean, ultimately, I just kind of decided that I made a decision that I didn't want to be, when I was 40 years old, I was like, whoa, what just happened to my youth? Like I hurt, my body sucks, and I don't want to do this forever. I don't want to be 70 years old swinging a hammer and carrying lumber, and I
want to be able to, but I don't want to have to be forced to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, I just made a decision. I was like, I don't want that for the rest of my life. I want something a little bit more, with more freedom to it.
Yeah. And you're rare. You're one of the rare exceptions to get to that point. One of the guys that joined our mastermind business group, he was watching. I don't know if he's still on, but this guy Gabe, and now he's got all subcontractors. He's not doing any of the work. And I said, man, well, how'd you get to that point? And it was because he got hurt and couldn't do the work. And I said, hey, man, it's probably over 80% of the contractors who really get off of the belt and into the office do so because they did twist a knee, an ankle, got really sick. Something happened to where they couldn't physically do the work, and they had to let their lead guy finish it, or they had to hire. Hey, man, I got these contracts. I got these projects. I can't physically do it. It's got to get done. I'm going to get sued. I ain't going to get paid. Can you go over there and finish it for me? And then he realizes, wait a minute. Other people can do it. I'm not the only one who can do this. And the homeowner is happy. And they did give us the check and all that stuff. And then that's when the light goes off, unfortunately. Even for me, I had so many friends coming out here from North Carolina visiting. I would do like this freaking, I call it the Bryan Adams Olympics, man. We'd hit freaking Vegas. We'd hit Beverly Hills. We'd hit Mexico. We were going for like 10 days doing this big, all the tourism shit and stuff, beaches in Mexico, riding horses, getting margaritas and stuff. And so I had to let the guys do the work because I'm playing tour guide. And you come back from one of these vacations and the business is running better without you. And you're like, shit, I'm just screwing it up. I need to stay gone a little bit longer. Because I come in, I think you mentioned that once or twice too. You come in, you start to micromanage a little bit and everybody's got things going on the way it should be. And you come in and start changing stuff. And they're like, wait, man, you're screwing it up. It's like, so you just check on them and make sure everything's getting done.
That's a big thing right there. I mean, not only can somebody else do what you do, there's a lot of people out there who can do it better than you. And so
I don't want to
there's
be
a lot of ego that gets tied up in that too, right? Like you always say, don't feed your ego, feed your bank account.
Yeah, 100%.
And I mean, it's a sobering thought when you sit down. It's a sobering thought experiment when you sit down and you really visualize and you ask yourself, like, genuinely take introspection and inventory into what would happen to my business? What would happen to my family? What would happen to all of my bills and my life in general if I just got sick or injured right now? How long would I have? What would happen?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, it's like, yeah, man, like, PBD and those guys, you're like, yeah, buy life insurance. I mean, it's like, I guess you're betting on yourself to lose or die or something. I tell guys all the time, I was like, look, man, I got a couple of daughters. I got a wife. I could have $1 million life insurance policy and that would not be shit. They would go through that in a heartbeat. Trust me, I know. Trust me, do I know? I said, there's no better fucking life insurance policy than, I wish I had your manual here. But if something happened to you, you've laid up, you died unconscious, whatever the hell it is, the best life insurance policy is for them to be able to go into your office, pick up your owner's manual, start flipping through the book and have everything right there to where financially nothing in their life would change.
This is how the business runs. These are the systems. This is how everybody operates and their role within it.
Yes, 100%. This is how we get the phone to ring. This is how we interview people. This is how we hire and train. This is how we find subcontractors. This is how we get new project managers. This is how we answer the phone when it does ring. This is how all of that. It's all there. I think we kind of joked about it. You brought some guys with you when we played golf, but I was like, dude, if you do something more than twice, that shit better be written down in a book somewhere. It better be part of your system. If you've done it more than twice, you're going to do it a third time. It better be written down. Here's how we handle it. Here's all of that stuff. And then you get it, and you just keep time. You keep just time, fine tuning it, making it better and better and better, and you never stop that ever. I mean, because shit, you're changing stuff around all the time.
I just edited my contract last week.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sure, and it was probably great 2 years ago, and then you did it 6 months, and it's like I'm always looking at everything. I'm telling you, I'm always looking at everything. How can I make it better? How can I make it better? How can I make it better? Even with my martial arts that we teach, that's why I tell these guys, I was like, dude, man, I've thrown this fucking reverse punch or that same kick a million times, and I'm constantly, even in my head, driving around, sitting in traffic, I'm thinking, man, how can I do it better? Why am I doing it that way? What is this? What is this? Like, right. always is that the way? Asking myself, why did we do this? Why do we do that? All of that stuff. And I'm always questioning our systems in the business, and just never settling on because as soon as you get comfort kills 100%. Yep.
Yeah, man. I mean, not only that, but it's those things. It's like, kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier here about accountability and all that stuff, and people not wanting to really do what it takes to be who they want to be. It's like those, going through those things, like all of my systems and processes, ultimately my contract. I mean, I do have a manual, like what you're talking about for my systems, but ultimately the heartbeat of my business model is my contract, and my contract, while I got the majority of it from another mentor of mine, I had to make adjustments to fit my business. And my contract now consists of basically a series of instances of like, oh yeah, that will never happen again.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it's got to hurt enough.
I run into those things every day. It's like, oh, got time to go change edit the contract. Yeah. That's never happening again.
It's gotta hurt enough, man. I'm telling you, man, it's gotta hurt enough. Because I'm teaching again a couple of days a week here at the house, and these kids, I call them kids, are like 22, 24. But when you pop them in the face, martial arts in the backyard.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and when you pop them in the head, after a couple of times, they realize, oh yeah, keep my hands up, keep my hands up, keep your hands up, stupid, keep your hands up, stupid, over and over again. So it's a hard lesson to learn, but there's something to be said about pain.
It's a good teacher.
It is big time. I don't even know if you followed it, but I want to get to Elon. But before I do that, I just want to touch on this Jason Aldean. He's got this song called "Try That in a Small Town," and I'd never heard the song. I listened to the song. And I was like, it ain't even that good. But these people,
it really isn't that good.
No, man. But these people talk so much shit about it and how he's racist and all this other stuff. And he's like, dude, I've never been racist. I ain't racist. I don't care. I want everybody in the world to be happy. I'm from a small town. We take care of each other. We've got each other's backs. If you break down, you can call probably anybody in the town. They're going to come over there and give you a jump. They're going to help you change the tire. They're going to all of that stuff. And I did. I grew up in a small town. Look up Elm City, North Carolina. ELM City, North Carolina. One time, Andy Griffin mentioned it on the show Mayberry, and I was like, oh man, but it's probably population maybe 900. I don't know, and then a couple of bigger towns on each side of it. But and that's what small town is, and that's what community is, and all these contractors. I'm trying to build this small community of contractors where they can all kind of feed off of each other. But I don't think it's like it's. I think you mentioned it. Didn't you say something like the our country is like a powder keg right now, just ready to explode?
It is. And one of the things I really admire about what Jason Aldean did, and I've used it in my marketing as well. I call it guerrilla marketing, because he knew what he was doing when he wrote that song, right? And he knew that, I mean, it's genius. He's going to sell 1 million records. He's going to sell out stadiums. He's going to make a ton of money on it.
Yeah.
And it's basically, he's going to make a ton of money on people fighting with each other. And I mean, rightfully so. I mean, that's,
Yeah, no. Well, you said, because I haven't seen it recently, so you may have gave up on it. But at one time, you were the most hated man in Idaho because you were welcoming Californians to the state, saying, "Hey, call Sunshine Design and Build if you got for all your building and remodeling
catering
needs."
to the California mass exodus.
Yes. and, people in Idaho wanted to string you up. I mean, you had literally people coming by your house going, "Hey, heard you talking about welcome Californians." It's like,
yeah, I had a whole Facebook group of people, and there was a boycott against me, and and it's like, and I did that based on 4 years ago I watched a video by Grant Cardone where he was talking about, man, if you can't get people in southern Indiana to talk about you, you're not going to be able to get people in India to talk about you. And he's like, make a decision to blow up, get attention. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it wasn't like I was saying, hey, screw Idaho. Idahoans are horrible people. I was just saying, hey, welcome to Idaho, Californians. And I knew what I was doing. I mean, I literally overnight, I went from complete obscurity to the very next day. People were like at the gas station, like, hey, you're that guy. It's you. You're that guy. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, me and my wife would be looking. We'd be on the internet just looking for the Anthony story. What's going on today, man? Hey, Anthony still alive? Hey, is Anthony still alive?
Get death threats every day.
But you ended up actually getting several pretty big jobs from that. Somebody even from California called you before they even got to freaking Idaho and was trying to plan some work.
Yeah, no, I got that. A lot of those posts went pretty viral, actually. So, and I mean, it got a lot of exposure. So, and whether, I mean, if you think about it, man, it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, as long as you aren't hurting people. I mean, ultimately, no matter what you do, you're not gonna please everybody, right? And so if there's 600 people in the Treasure Valley, as a business owner, my job isn't to care whether or not they hate me or love me. My job is to get them to talk about me, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, ultimately, it's like, hey, there's that asshole who loves Californians. What's funny is they all thought I was you're just one of them California libtards. And I'm like, no, dude. Like, I'm not from California.
And it's funny because you said, no matter what you do, you're not gonna be able to please everybody. So when I'm doing presentations, and even today, I normally, if I'm doing a presentation, I'll end the presentation with this. I'll say is, if you ever seen the movie Hitch with Will Smith. So in the movie, he's like the love doctor. He helps people. He sets people up, people that can't get dates. He gets them a date and he walks them through how to give the date. And he's helping Kevin James go out with this girl. And he's telling her, you do this, you do that. And if she asks you to dance, you keep it right here, 10 and 2. Just 10 and 2. And none of this, Michael Jackson stuff. And Kevin James like, yeah, that's what I want to learn. And he's like, no, right here, 10 and 2. Just keep it here, 10 and 2. None of that stuff. So they go out on the date. And as soon as, and he's keeping it 10 and 2. But when she turns around and she's not looking at him, he's doing all this fancy shit. And at the movies, my wife is rolling, laughing her ass off. And so on the way to the parking lot, I'm like, hey, man, it was funny, but it was not that funny. And she was like, oh my God, that was you 25 years ago when I met you. And I was like, what, man? I was the white Michael Jackson. I know I could dance. And she's like, yeah, sure you could, honey. And I tell people, I say, hey man, I share that story with you guys because I don't care how great you think you can dance in life. Not everybody's going to clap, and that's okay. Because when you start trying to please everybody, the sure definition of success is, and they asked Bill Cosby years ago, but what's your definition of failure? And he said, or what's your definition of success? He said, I don't have one, but I can tell you the sure definition of failure, and that's trying to please everybody. And you've got to know from your core what kind of person you are and how you treat people. I'm probably one of the most hated guys in most of these construction groups because I'm not babying them. They're asking dumbass questions, and I'm like, dude, that's a dumbass question. What? There's no such thing as dumb questions. Look, bitch, you heard that in school, and you were lied to then, and you're wanting to be lied to now, and I care more about you than you evidently your friends do. I'm not going to lie to you. Here's the hard truth. Here's what's really going to happen.
You were saying
no one, no favors lying to them.
Well, you were saying earlier, like, hey, take it easy on the self-help industry. I'm in there. But one of the things that I admire about you the most, Brian, is that you pre-qualify the people who come to you. It's like, you're like, no, dude, you know what? I don't even want to run your ads because your website sucks. You don't want to spend any money on your website. Like, no, you don't think about things correctly. You're not ready. I don't even want to mess with you because all you're going to do is hate me when I make you do what I need you to do. And you don't have the ability to do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have that integrity.
I'll say, hey man, like, look, man, you can get the book online for free, whatever. Like, like hundreds of videos on the YouTube channel telling you step by step what to do. It's up to you to take the freaking action. Let's get into this, man. Elon changes the name and the brand of Twitter to X, and people lose their fucking mind. And I'm excited as hell because I don't know if you even know the story of X.
I know a little. I know everything that he does has X incorporated in it, right?
Yeah. So he's in, so he leaves South Africa. He gets to Canada. He works his ass off. As a kid, he used to get beat up all the fucking time. He gets out of Africa, gets up to Canada, living with relatives. Literally, like not digging ditches. He's digging out sewage and stuff, digging down these tunnels, filling buckets up with shit, dragging it back through, emptying it out. He's a worker. But when he went to college. So now he's in college, and on his summer break, he gets a job at the bank. And at the bank, he's like, man, these guys are doing everything wrong. Man, as soon as I graduate college, I'm gonna fix this. So he gets out of college, and one of the first businesses he starts is called X, because he wants to do this online banking. He knows the internet is it, and he's going to change the banking world forever. And he's going to do X. But along with that is he started Google Maps. He was like probably the first one to start Google Maps. Just wasn't called Google Maps, but he had his brother going around to all the local businesses saying, hey, I'll put you on this map. When people go to the internet and start searching for businesses, you're going to show up here and there. And nobody knew what the internet was, and it wasn't kind of going. And someone rented a couple of the rooms from him and his brother, and they were doing something called PayPal. And it was kind of like the banking thing that he wanted to do. So and they just like Tesla, he kind of bought it and invested in it and kind of dwarfed it and took it over. But not he didn't take it over well enough. So it's doing really good. And it's he had big plans for it. It was going to be the online banking to put all banks out of business. And these guys didn't want that. They wanted to sell, get their money, and go. And sure enough, he gets married, flies to Hawaii. As soon as the plane takes off for Hawaii, they have a board meeting, get him out, sell the fucking company. By the time the plane lands in Hawaii, he's getting the calls and the phone calls. It's like, hey, but we just sold PayPal or blah, blah, blah. He flies back, and by then it's too late. He got a shitload of money, but he was always pissed off about it. PayPal never became what he wanted it to become, what he wanted it to do. And he wants like WeChat in China. It's an everything app. And I think he'll create it. I think he's still pissed off about PayPal, and he's never liked the way the banking system runs. And he knew like the whole digital currency and the blockchain and all that stuff. He's way ahead of his time. I think he's going to give Amazon a run for their money. I think he'll put PayPal out of business. Venmo, Cash App, all these other things I think he's going to fine tune it and make it easy to work with, able to do money in between each other real easy. Home loans, car loans will be a lot easier. There'll be people dealing with each other individually. I'm kind of excited about it. See what he does with it.
Well, he's got quite the opportunity coming up here within the next couple of years to do that as the whole economic landscape shifts into what it's becoming. So that'll be interesting to watch.
And I posted it on my Facebook page, but I also went back in and did a couple of video clips. I showed one of it when he was really young, way back in '99 when he was starting the original company X. But then I did another one, not maybe a couple of months ago, where he was talking about switching Twitter over to be this everything app. And he said he wants well over 50% of the financial industry of the world.
So what do you think the significance behind switching the name to Twitter to X was? It's got to be more than just, triggering, easily manipulated people, right?
No, yeah, because I think it was because that was his original baby. It was called X, and it just got ripped out from underneath him. And he said he had no clue about this whole merging companies and board of directors, and that was like we talking about hard lessons learned. That will never happen again. That was one of those for him. It's like that will never happen again. Yeah, and so he was real like he didn't want Tesla to go public, but he needed the money. And that still didn't almost make it. He called up Google. He was 2 days away from signing everything over to Google. And one of his sales teams, you know, their process, they put a plan into action, and it worked, and it saved him. But he was 2 days away from giving everything to Google. He just wanted to be able to run it for the next 10 years and get it to where he knew it could be. But SpaceX, he still won't let that go public. And the people who are investing with him and stuff, he keeps telling them, he's like, hey, I've been there. He talks about the PayPal story, and he talks about Tesla. Tesla's not where he wants it to be because he's limited to what he can do because of the shareholders and the board of directors and stuff. And he says the goal for SpaceX is Mars. And if we go public, there are going to be way too many things that we can't do, and we'll never reach the goal. So far he hasn't. And I don't think he's going to open Twitter back up, or now X. And I think turning it into X is like, no, man. It's like I'm going back to my original roots. I'm making this thing freaking work. And I think by buying Twitter, he just bought a whole lot of platform with people already there instead of trying to build it. There's like, he didn't invent Tesla. I mean, he took Tesla over. He just went in. And we talked about it, you know, it was like, it's hard to see the picture when you're the frame. So he was able to go in and change things around and do it better. And you know, the guy who started Tesla's like, feels like he got ripped off and kicked out and stuff. It's like, no, it's like, he knew where he wanted it to go and all this other. Same thing with SpaceX. He didn't start it. He just seen it and learned it. And some of those rocket guys would say, you know, when he first started talking to them and asking questions and saying, yeah, but if you do this and that, you know, they were kind of arrogant because they're fucking smart. They're rocket scientists, right? And they're sitting there going, well, who's this guy questioning me and this and that? And then like a week later, he'd come back and you go, hey, you know that conversation we had? Yeah, I did the calculations and this will work. And they're like, fuck, this guy's smarter than me. And he hasn't done any other schooling than that. He was able to look at it and just make it work.
Hey, on a side note, is it just an internet meme, or is he really going to fight Mark Zuckerberg?
I think at one time he was going to, but I don't know now. You know, it kind of died down a little bit, but man, I sure wanted him to. Damn, I wanted him to.
You know, the fight I really want to see is Andrew Tate and Logan Paul.
Yeah. But that one would, I was watching some of Andrew's old fights, and shit, he was tough. I mean, still tough, but man,
he's no slouch.
Yeah, not at all. But I don't think that one would ever happen because he said Andrew Logan Paul would have to pass a drug test, and that ain't ever going to happen.
What do you think? You think it's because he thinks he's on?
Oh, he's definitely. Nobody's thinking he's on juice. He's definitely on steroids.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if that would. But Paul's. I mean, shit. He's a tough dude too. But he's never fought like real people. So
yeah, it's been retired.
In their arena. I mean, it's totally different. Ryan said Tate will beat Paul's bitch ass. I'd love to see it. I mean, but you know, he's taking a couple of punches, and it's just different. It's like you know, I don't know. I talk shit in Pride or whatever. It's like I teach what I call is street realistic self-defense. And there's just a total different. Anytime that you start putting rules on something, things change. There's a huge difference between not being able to do what we call small joint manipulation and fingers and eyes and growing shots and stuff that you would do on the street because it works. You can't do in an arena because it would, it'd end the fight too quick. Someone would get hurt and no one would pay to see it. They want to see the action. They want to be entertained. So there's a difference. So you have to put certain rules into place. So there's always a difference. But I'd love to see, you know, one, I don't care who you are. You're not, it's extremely hard to overcome a foot height difference and 60 pounds. I don't even if it's fat, it's tough, especially rolling around on the ground.
Sure.
But Elon Musk he's had his ass kicked enough times to where he don't care about getting hit. And I don't think that's happened to Zuckerberg. I think the guys he's training with, they're going to train him however they have to train him to keep him signing checks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, hey man, you're doing good. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, they're patting. Oh yeah. I felt that. Oh yeah. Oh, good job. Good job.
You're doing great, Mark.
Yeah. So, shit, man.
Do you think I would last? Do you think I would last 3 minutes in the metaverse?
Yeah, the UFC.
Oh, of course, Mark.
Yeah, but I mean, but he's still. I mean, but you know, he's working out. He's got the videos of him working out, and he's going, and that's more than most people.
Yeah,
so that part I give him a lot of credit for.
Yeah,
he's not just. I mean, he's doing something. So good for him. In all honesty, shit, I don't know. Over 80% of the population in America needs to do something about their fucking physical health.
Yeah.
Well, healthy food is expensive and isn't that? And like, whether it is or not, who knows? But I know Krispy Kreme donuts ain't cheap. I mean, and you're buying that stuff. It's like there's no excuse for it. Hey man, last thing before we get out of here. If you invest, let me look at the camera and say that. If you invest in anything and you do not do your homework and your research first, you deserve to have your bitch ass, dumb ass ripped off, period. Yeah. And I mean that in all areas. I'm talking about real estate. I'm talking about stock market. I'm talking about Bitcoin, shitcoin. I'm talking about all these fucking programs that you see on the Facebook and internet. And we're getting ready to launch a massive campaign, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, giving away my book for contractors only. You mastered your business, now master your trade. Do your fucking research. Do your research on all of these, because I'll send them to you all the time. I think so many people is like, man, are you a remodeling contractor? Do you want to fill your calendar? There's a new AI program that can close the sale for you. All you need to do is show up and collect the money. It's like, oh my God, it's like non-stop. Everybody's got a fucking, and they're all out to get your money. If you give it to them, it's your fault. Look, man, I got my YouTube channel is full of videos educating you and explaining to you how that is all bullshit. The SEO is bullshit. The websites, this, to that, the Googles, all of that stuff, man. Do your research on all of it. If you're watching this right now and you don't know me, do your research on me. Do your research on Anthony. All of it, man. Anything, the investments, the college. These people's paying for colleges, getting degrees that ain't worth shit, man. No one's, and again, it goes back to what we've been talking about all day today: accountability. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, fools deserve to be fooled. And I mean, if you're being fooled, do you know it? No, because you're a fool and you're fooled. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, there's a lot of guys out there, who promise, the moon and the stars and everything else. At the end of the day, if you cut them a check, but it's just like anything else. I mean, if you're not willing to put in the work, I mean, there are some things that just can't be automated, right? Like you cannot automate until we have crews of robots going out and building homes for us. I mean, unless everybody's living in a 3D printed domicile. I mean, we just don't live in that world yet, right? No. I mean, it's great to want to automate what you can, but like imagine you and me automating this podcast.
Yeah.
Would you even want to watch it? I wouldn't. No. Right?
No. And because I argue with the guys in groups all the time because they've got the system and the CRM and they've got these what they call the chat bots that follow up for you and they ask the homeowner questions and then when the homeowner answers that question, they've got another question and it's this and it's that and they go like all this other. I'm like, dude, if a homeowner calls you because they need work done, pick up the fucking phone and talk to them, please.
you had a video. I was on Facebook the other day. I didn't get a chance to stop and listen to it because I was in the middle of something else. But you had a video about how do you answer the phone. So what was the gist of that video?
Oh, always relationship building. I think Ryan is still on here, but a couple of the guys that's in the group, and I mean, because I talk to contractors all the days, the ones that I'm working with over the years, like me and you, but is homeowner call and say, hey, well, I'm looking to get an estimate on painting my exterior home, and it's like, oh, what's your address? Maybe I'll come over there, or like tell me that, and I'm like, dude. All this, like, if you call me, I'm gonna be, hey, Anthony, how's it going today? Yeah. You call the right guy, man. It's like 35 years. All I've been doing is exterior painting. Is what area you in? Oh man, I love that area, man. I got two daughters. One of my daughter goes, her best friend goes to a tap dance school over there. Oh yeah, I know. And then you're like, oh, I know where that is, or like, there's something. I'm finding something in common with you at all times, and we're talking about it. It was like, boom, or your truck, or this, anything, man. I know I tell people all the time, you have something in common with everyone you meet. It's up to you to find out what that is. So I'm spending my first 3, 4, 5 minutes making a relationship with that person. And then I'm like, your book. And then I'm going to say, hey man, I was like, I don't know if we're going to, like, when you need it done, if we can get to it or not. But Anthony, let me tell you, honestly, it's like, I don't care who does the work for you. I want it done right. Let me give you a couple of, what's your email? I'm going to send you over a text message. I'm going to show you the procedure of how it should be done. When's the last time you had your house painted? Oh man, 10 years ago. A lot has changed since then. There's a lot of different products, a lot of things. Let me give you 6 questions that you should ask any contractor, even myself, and we should be able to answer them. And there's a procedure of how it should be done so that you get the best work out of it. But all of that stuff before, like, and as I'm talking to them, I'm sitting there. I got them on speakerphone. I went to my YouTube channel. I say, hey, Anthony, I just sent you a couple of links, a couple of videos. One of them is a video testimonial of a guy right down the street from you. Another one is a house that we did 2 years ago, just like the house, almost the same layout that you're talking about. It'll give you an idea. And I'm going to send you one. Hang on. I'm going to send you one more, Anthony. And that's those 6 questions that I told you. Yeah, I'm going to walk you through. This video walks through those 6 questions so that, no matter who, what do you mean no matter who does it? Man, we're best friends, ain't we? Ain't you going to do it? It's like, I hope I can do it, but honestly, it's like, it just depends on if it fits in the schedule. But I'm gonna have someone from my office call you. Yeah, all of that stuff. It's like everything is relationships, or getting to it, or sending me the pictures, and it depends on where you're at in your business, how you answer the phone. Like at one point, the business I sold before this one is I didn't answer the phone at all. I wouldn't answer the phone. It's like they had to leave a message. I'd listen to the message. I'd send them a text message. They'd have to send me the pictures. But I had a dominance. Like, I got so many videos on the internet. They're happy. I even send them a text message back. And then they'd have to send me the pictures of this. And I'd send them how much the money is going to be, how much it's going to cost them. And if it was enough square footage or big enough job, then I would get on the phone with them. Because if I get on the phone with them, we're going to talk for 30 to 40 minutes. And I don't want to do that with just any freaking body. But not, a contractor in his early days isn't at that point yet. He can't do that. He's got to answer the phone, and he's got to build that relationship right then and there. Because if someone calls up and they're price shopping, they're doing all this other shit, they don't know. They're fucking homeowners. They don't know anything. They call up and say, hey man, I got a 22 square foot house. I'm talking about wanting to get it, repainted. It was painted 5 years ago. Just looking to get a price. Well, I'll come over there. I'll be there tomorrow. All right, talk to you then. Boom. Or they give them some bullshit price, and they hang up. They call the next guy. And then they're going to call me, and I'm going to sit there, I'm going to talk to them and build up a relationship to where it's like, hey man, I'm going to bring the beer. You have the chips. When I show up, we're going to look at everything. And like, they're going to call the guy that was supposed to come over tomorrow and say, hey, never mind. I just talked to Brian. He's coming, and he's doing the job. And he's never even met me because of the phone conversation. And that's kind of what the video was.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge too. And I think, it's like, even when I call up different, subcontractors and stuff, man, like, people don't realize, just how big the small things are. Like if you imagine I'm talking to you right now and I'm just telling you the story, Brian, as opposed to, when I'm really telling you the story, you can actually hear me smile over the phone, and people pick up on that, right?
Yeah.
Instead of going, this is Anthony. What do you want?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I'll stop by tomorrow. I'll give you a call on the way. As opposed to, hey, how you doing? And you actually answer the phone with a smile. People can hear you, right?
Yeah.
They can hear that, and they respond to it.
I think me and you talked about this 3 or 4 years ago when you were hiring office ladies to answer the phone, and you would even do role plays with them and stuff.
Yeah, I do role plays with the people answering the phone. I do role plays with people who are in sales positions. Like even right now. So I've got a project manager who's really, he's interested in doing sales. Like that's something that piques his interest. And so I told him, he just started one of his jobs a little while ago. And I told him, I said, hey man, here's what you do. I gave him some business cards. I said, I want you to go from door to door for, at least 2 blocks radius to every house around your job. And I want you to, because you can't go door to door sales. So you have to, you knock on the door. Hey, my name's Anthony. I'm with Sunshine Design and Build. Not here to sell you anything. Just want to let you know we're doing work on your neighbor's house. Mick, maybe you know him. Anyways, listen, not trying to sell you nothing. If you have any problems, trash blows over in your yard, here, let me know. I'll take care of you right away. Right.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, if you get a sale out of, this neighborhood based on this canvassing, I'll triple your commission on it. And he was like, really? Right. And you can see it spark up. But then I started walking with him, and, some people are really standoffish, and I could see like, he was really nervous and he was like cagey, but my name's Tristan, and we're doing the work on your neighbor's house, and I'm like, hey man, instead of going up there and getting intimidated by people who don't want you on their doorstep, all you have to do, and I said, watch this. Right? And he started smiling, and I was like, that's all you have to do, man. That's all you have to do. Just stop, being scared and cagey, and just smile at them. Like if they're being an asshole, smile at them as big as you can. Be ridiculous about it, right? Have fun with it.
Yeah, because for 20 years or more, I've told people, I said, hey man, get a part-time job. You don't have to keep your day job, but get a part-time job selling anything door to door. What? Yeah. I'm like, dude, it ain't about selling anything. It ain't about even you getting paid. I said, the education that you'll get for doing that for 6 months or a year is going to change your life everywhere. Picking up chicks,
dealing with other people,
dealing with your kids. Yeah. All of it. And so it was cool as hell. Like, I don't know, like a couple of weeks ago, I was watching a video interview with Andrew Tate, and he talked about he was doing door-to-door sales for window replacement. And I was like, and he said the same thing. And I was like, man, good to hear him say that. But shit, I already knew that. It's but I don't even know if someone's watching this right now, if they picked up on that, because that's kind of like that's huge in and of the self. If you're in that area working and you're like, hey man, we're doing a house a couple of days over, ain't trying to sell you anything. I just want to know is like, if we get too loud, if some dust blows over, anything, you're being the good guy. And you're saying, hey, here's the business card. Not, it's like, hey, just, and one, homeowner, and yeah, you're being the good guy, but two, it's like being able to get in front of them. Now they're like, shit, man, if I do something later on, I want that guy working for me. Not only is he taking care of the homeowner, but he's taking care of all the homeowners in the neighborhood that he's working for. He's not the asshole contractor taking up all the parking space, leaving dirt piles out, says dust, like you said, dust is blowing over, starting at 5 a.m. with jackhammers, all that stuff. You're just saying, hey, any of my guys get out of line, anything happens, call me directly. That's huge.
It's funny too, because the one lady who she answered the door, and she was a bitch, and it totally threw him off. Like he was like, he did I was like, dude, don't let them get you, man. Well, don't let them shock you, because once they shock you, they got you. Just hey, yeah. But it just make them uncomfortable, like kill them with kindness,
It is, man. And that's why that whole door to door shit is like so educational. Is you get like if you do it for 6 months, it's like 6 years of training in sales, because of the rejection and the way they reject you. And it's like, you've done that, you can go through anything. It's like that's asking a girl to dance at a bar somewhere is not a problem anymore.
Yeah. That's the key element anymore. Is not taking the rejection personal, right?
Yeah.
And just moving past it, like, oh, well, she didn't want what I have, so on to the next one. That's how you have to be, man. And so, yeah, it's a good crash course in managing your expectations, your emotions, and how to communicate with others, even when others aren't good at communication in general.
100%. 100%. All right, ladies and gentlemen, another shit, man. These hours, it's been an hour and almost an hour and 20.
Another one in the books.
It is, brother. This time next week, I'll share some like shit. We don't. I meet with this group of guys every other week, but I don't know. It's exciting to watch them. It's just like, it was exciting watching you. I mean, it's in a couple of guys like Charlie, JB. But same ways over the years, like I've still got guys that worked for me that a couple of them have retired completely. A couple of them have sold their company, but some of them now are like sales reps in different parts of the United States. It's fun to watch them. It's just because I don't make any money at this shit, but man, it's a good feeling knowing that you've been able to change really the direction of not just their life, but their shit, like their family heritage for generations to come.
Yeah.
Because they're able to make more money now. I don't care how you feel about money. Money changes shit. It does. Money changes the vacations you take. Money changes the conversations you have. Money changes the people that you hang out with. You start spending a little bit of money going to some of these conferences, meeting other business owners. You start having different conversations with your wife. That relationship gets a little bit stronger. Or you separate. You go. You're happy with each other. You go off and you keep growing as a person. Your kids end up. You're going to different schools, you're living in different neighborhoods. It's just for generations, man. It's like, it's crazy. It's like, some of these guys I laugh at. I'm like, dude, your little $3,000, $5,000 that you're going to give me is not going to change my life in any shape, form, or fashion. I said, but what I can help you do in the next 3 to 5 years will change your life and generations of your families for years and years to come. And
money doesn't.
They think I'm a dick for saying it, but I don't care because I don't. They have to go through the fucking interview process before I even try to help them because I only need the people who's going to do it seriously. But I do it for seeing the guys really change, man. It's like it's like crack. And I know all about crack because my sister used to smoke it, and it's addictive, man.
Well, people love to tell you that money doesn't buy happiness, but I'm here to tell you, man, I've never been unhappy or sad because I've had money, but I've been sad and unhappy a lot of times because I didn't have money, right? It doesn't solve every problem, but it solves most of them.
It may not make you may not be able to buy happiness, but you can rent that shit for a long time. I like to rent it. So, all right, guys, we're out of here. We're gonna do it again next week, hopefully. Man, no matter when you're watching it, reach out to us. We'll answer all the questions and get back to you. Appreciate you, Anthony.
Have a good one, Brian. Thanks.